Good morning to you once again. Last time we are going to be looking at location coordinates. That was our last session where we are going to pick up from, and this time around we are going to be seeing location and places in geography can be used to identify or are identified on an area onto the its surface. When we look at location coordinates or location of coordinates here, we mainly use around 3 criteria. Therefore, we shall be looking at locating places, or place location can be located using what we call as relative, locality, then absolute. With the absolute here, we much emphasize all for it to uses a specific pairing of latitudes and longitudes. For it, we are going to be looking at how we use the coordinates in terms of location, or describing the location in there. And when you talk about locality, for it is concerned with settlement or populated places. Then with the other, it is the relative. For it, when we are locating, we use distances, or we locate using kilometers in terms of location. We can use it in terms of distances, where we are going to be seeing how we can locate an area when we are using measurements. With the absolute, I told you that for it deals with the use of latitudes and longitudes. When we proceed, we are going to be seeing that in terms of the use of longitudes, we shall be borrowing the idea of the universal transfer mercator known as the UTM grid systems, known as the universal transverse mercator. For it, we use it for the absolute in terms of latitudes and longitudes. When we proceed below, down here, we are going to be seeing that the mercator, or the UTM system, divides the world surface into what we call the 60-degree longitude wide zones that run south to the north or north to the south. Therefore, we shall be also looking at the zones starting from the interdate line. Below we have a diagram which clearly shows how we can measure. Now, when we are looking at the mercator or the UTM, for it deals with the longitudes and latitudes. Now, when you try to look below, we have an illustration there which shows how we measure or how we locate places using latitudes and longitudes. When you look at the first one, it shows that from equator it is 0 degrees. When you try to extend it around 12, on the side of the east, it is 6 west degrees. It says 6 degrees west, and this side of the west, it is showing 12 degrees west. Now, when you proceed, that means that we are trying to extend northwards. From 0 degrees, we are saying now we are going to be going up to 50 degrees north of the equator. In terms of meters, they are saying now there will be 500,000 meters. From there, then they proceed to the side of the latitude up to 84 degrees north, and they are saying now, in terms of kilometers, in terms of meters, now it is 600 meters. The same which applies to also part B now. For this now, they are trying to move from equator, now extend it southwards. From 0 degrees up to 80 degrees. It clearly shows how the universal transverse Mercator Code System location measurement looks like. So that's how we measure it in terms of degrees. When you look at it, it clearly displays it and clearly shows how we can measure. However, what I can supplement there, now when we are writing even the coordinates, we write using we write 2 coordinates. We write 2 degrees or write 2 digits, but making sure that we attach the location, and also we write the distance in terms of meters. That's how we use the universal transverse Mercator system coordination measurement. Below we have some of the importance of these latitudes and the tropics. The first thing, it is place location, and the tropics are greatly important in geography and environment management as presented below. They are saying that the first thing is that a determination of the settlement location. When we are locating or when we are using the Mercator system, we usually use degrees, direction, and meters. So it can easily help you to determine the settlement location of an area. And also when you look at the relative, say that for it deals with the settlements in terms of population, so you can easily tell if you see when the area is associated with many settlements or black spots, it can clearly show that that area it is having settlement. Be it sparsely, be it populated, it depends on the symbols that are reflecting settlement. If they are many, that means that that area is populated or it is overpopulated. When those black spots are kind of sparsely or they are kind of spread, it clearly shows that the population is low or is not or is moderate. The other thing, they are saying the description of a place in relation to the well location. With the description, here we are going to be looking at how they look, how the topographical map looks like. When you try to see the topographical map, when you see areas with the concentrated contours, many compacted contours, it clearly tells that that area is associated with the steep slopes. When it comes to the areas with the sparse contours or wide or kindly spread contours, when they are not all that compact, it clearly shows that that area is densely populated. So it helps us in the description of places with the idea of borrowing what we call the contours. When they are kind of spread, that means that that area is it lies in areas with the lowlands or areas that is not congested. Now, that is how we can describe places. We can be describing places considering the relief or the appearance of the area in terms of steep, in terms of gentle, and also in terms of lowlands or flatlands by the use of the contours or by the use of the universal transverse Mercator location measurements. When we proceed, they are saying that calculation of distance interval between the places. So they can also help us to know the distance from one place to another through the use of measurements. So those are some of the points there. They are also talking about association locations to the climatic characteristics and the temperature. With the temperatures particularly. Now, if you remember, we are talking about the tropical zones. And we talked about that we have these latitudes that tend to be dividing the Earth, or that tend to be running parallel to the equator. We talked about the Tropic of Capricorn and the Tropic of Cancer. When you look at those two things, all those latitudes, they can easily tell the location, or they can easily determine the zones in which these areas they are found. We talked about the temperate, we talked about the tropical, and also we talked about the polar zones. So when you look at those zones, we shall use these longitude and latitude to determine which area is located, in which zone it is located, depending on the latitudes and longitudes there. They are saying that in terms of climatic conditions, when you look at the polar zones, these areas are associated with or they are associated with cold conditions or cool conditions. That implies that those areas they have cool conditions. So it's one of the points we are trying to tell that they can clearly locate the climatic characteristics depending on it. When you look at the tropical zones, they are tropically associated with the hot temperatures, meaning that those areas they are totally dry. The other point below, they are saying that they help in spatial navigation and the tracking of targets. When they talk about tracking and navigation, we use them actually to locate different features by the aspect of latitudes and longitudes. When you try to read the latitudes and longitudes, you can clearly tell that there is a feature, or there is something that is located within that area with the use of the latitudes in terms of figures like the degrees. When they tell that locate an area or identify the location of a given place, where you'll be told to locate using the degrees, then you read off the degrees. You may be told to locate by the use of the graph and locate. It may be